All right. Time to move. Now I'm going to call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our December 19th, 2023 meeting for York City Council. We will open up with public comment on non-agenda items only. Don't see anyone for public comment on non-agenda items only, so we will adjourn our public comment session. And at 6:00 p.m., I will call our public meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Here.
Buckingham.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Washington.
Here.
Walker.
Here. And if you are able to, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
I apologize. Y'all all looked at me.
We will now take action on previous meeting minutes from December 5th, 2023. Any changes to those minutes, Council?
I have none.
None.
All in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. No presentations, awards, or announcements. The reorganization meeting of council will be held on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on December the 27th. The next council committee meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on January 17th. No prior committee referral reports. So we will move on to our legislative agenda. Up first, final passage of bills and resolutions.
So moved.
And we have final passage of bill number 57.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
And that is bill number 57, which was introduced by Lou Rivera at the December 5th meeting of council, amending Article 545, public-private towing of the codified ordinances to update fees and definitions.
Any questions or comments from council?
I have none.
I have none.
Any questions or comments from the public? Come on up to the podium and please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Michael Dara, Dara's Automotive and Recycling Incorporated. We're looking to get these rates increased because the original ordinance was done in 2016 and there's been no rate increases since. And with all the increase in fuel, insurance, labor, we're really needing to get an increase. And then the addition of the salver is so that the tow companies that are involved with the ordinance have the ability to dispose of vehicles that are left behind. Right now, we're anywhere from 25 to 40% of the vehicles we tow end up being abandoned vehicles. And that's the only legal way of disposing of those vehicles. If the people don't bring the titles in, if they don't have a title, if the finance companies or the insurance companies walk away, which happens all the time. That's the purpose for adding the requirement to be a salver to be included in the ordinance. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or public?
Hi, Elspeth Buck, 19 South Pine Street, and my questions were, how did they come up with the numbers? Because in some cases, it's more than a 50% increase. There's a $30 to $45 increase for, I think, the day rate. And so how did we come up with the increase amounts? Number two, if 25% get abandoned, I understand we want to get rid of those, but then that leaves 70% or maybe 60, or even if it's 50% are owned by the public and they're having some distress, the 20-day restriction versus 90 days seems tight for allowing somebody who's having some issues to get their car back. 20 days seemed kind of fast. So I guess my question is the rate increase, how did we come to that? And the time frame going from 90 down to 20 days, and thinking about how that affects the public. And the salver, I understand, but I don't know how many other tow companies the city uses or has a contract with. And would these rates would apply, I assume, to every tow company, and do they all have the same types of expenses? Do we shop for lower price tow companies to do this work? And since the budget's been approved, I don't know what rates were used to come up with our towing number in the budget. So, thanks.
Thank you. Do you have any answers in regards to fees? And I know you worked with the city as well.
The 20 days, we'll start with that first. The 20 days is the state law in the vehicle code for the time limit to file abandon on vehicles. That's where we came up with the 20 days. 90 days is just hard to do because the yards get filled up with all those vehicles that get left behind. We need to keep them moving. The rates, like I said, it was started in 16, this ordinance, and there's been no increase. So it's basically a 5% per year increase since 16. And the city tow ordinance is the cheapest or lowest rate tow ordinance in the state. And the salver, all the other ordinances that I could find online for the state or for municipalities, they all require salvers. And right now, there's 3 companies involved in the towing ordinance right now for public and private, and there's a representative for all 3 of them here. We're all in agreement. We all agreed to the rate increase, which still keeps us under most other municipalities.
Thank you. I'm looking at the 90 to 20 days. I probably would suggest that we look at that number and maybe come to some type of mean between the 20 and the 90. Do you have any input in regards to the 20 days in which you have experienced over the years?
Yeah, right now, the storage rate is $30 a day for the first 10 days. And then after 10, it goes to $50 a day. So the storage rate continues throughout. If they don't have the means in 20 days to pick it up, in 90 days, that bill's going to be 10 times higher. They're not going to have the means to handle that. So they're not going to come back in 90 days to pick up a car if they didn't get it in 20 days.
I guess I'm thinking if there's some type of situation that's might be out of their control but might not be financial. There might need to be some type of, okay, so we have from the chief of police if the vehicle was impounded by the police. I never really thought about this too much, but we might need to look to see if there's something comparable
Well, like I said,
in dire situations outside of finances.
yeah, the state is 20 days, and that's the vehicle code. It used to be 15. They extended that probably about 6 years ago to 20 days, which allows insurance companies, you know, if they're having an issue contacting the insured or whatever, they felt that 20 days was practical.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public?
Hi, Elizabeth Buppet. Where do you crush the cars? Does that happen? Yes, where do you crush the cars?
Where or
Yes.
the time?
Where?
Well, it all depends.
If you can come up to the mic. So are we talking about, okay, so the vehicle is in the storage facility, it's after the 20 days, it may be removed. What happens after the vehicle's removed?
After the abandoned vehicle process, which could take anywhere from 90 days to a year, depending on where the vehicle's from. If it's out of state, it's a year. Once the process is started, file an abandon, it's 1 year to dispose of that vehicle. Most of the cars are pretty much junk. They're sold as scrap vehicles. We don't do any crushing. We take some parts off, prep them, and then they go to a shredder.
That's a nice way of saying you crush them.
Make a little money.
What's that?
That's a nice way of saying you crush them.
No, they get shredded. They're in little pieces. He'll tell you about that.
Yeah. The process of abandoned vehicle
Just
is,
state your name first, please.
Joe Dara.
Thank you.
Say it again?
Joe
Okay.
Dara. The process of abandoned vehicle is to give us ownership of that vehicle so we can do something with it. After 20 days, we file a 956. A 956 is when the police officer comes to our station, verifies the VIN, makes sure it's not stolen, and there are a lot of them that end up becoming stolen cars, especially off the private parking lots. After the 956 is done, we take pictures of the vehicle, send it to Harrisburg. They send out a letter to any owner and lien holder that they have 30 days to come claim the car. If they don't come within them 30 days, then we fill out another paper called a 956. We send that to Harrisburg, and then Harrisburg will give us a junk certificate. If the car has value, if the police officer deems that this car has value, and that's a lot of the cars that we're towing, if it has value, then we need to hold an auction. So we have to do public announcement, newspaper or whatever, advertise it that that car is being sold in an auction, and anybody can come to the auction and buy that car. After the auction, then if no one comes and buys it, then we get a certificate also, and we can dispose of the car. It really doesn't matter where you do it. Once the car's ours, we could do anything with it. We could sell it to you, we could crush it, we could shred it.
How do you determine if a car is of value or not of value?
The police officer does that.
Okay.
We can argue with him, but if he deems it has value, and he puts down, when you do a 952, there's a whole section on damages and value. He'll mark off all the damages on that car, and then the value of that car.
So there's a difference between 952 and 956?
A 956 is telling the state
Okay.
that no one came for the car, and that we would like a certificate.
Okay.
So an average car is 3-4 months. If a car is out of state, Pennsylvania does all they can to reach out to all the states to verify that there's no lien holder looking for that car.
If you have a comment,
Yeah.
you need to,
Come up.
yeah, and then you can state your name. Any other questions or comments?
So I would just say that the process, they have 20 days, but the process then continues for much longer than 20
Continues.
days.
They have all the
They
opportunity to
can
come.
step up after
They
20
can
days.
step up anytime after that 20
Okay.
days and come claim their car.
Wanted to clarify that.
In fact, after that 20 days, the state's giving them 30 days. We can't do anything to that car until that 30th day. So now you have 20, 30, and then once the 956 is applied for, they can still come get their car. But they would have to pay for the fees. And like 20 days times 30 is $600. 90 times 30 is $2,700. You know, if they don't come for it for $600, they're not going to come for it for $2,700.
So what if the car's not valued at anything?
Still takes a couple months.
Okay.
Thank you. That was helpful information. And in addition, it's also written in this code that it's permission that's needed from the chief of police. So if there are issues that might occur from a residence, maybe we can attempt to do some type of outreach or informative session for our residents to let them know in regards to who they could reach out to.
You do have 2 officers that's their jobs, is abandoned vehicles. They're allowed it so many hours a week. And that's not only to come to our towing companies to take care of the cars that we tow for you, but they also do the ones on the streets. You know, and when they see
Yes.
abandoned vehicle, if it's your abandoned vehicle, they'll notify you and give you time to move that car or do something with it before they tow it.
Right. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to introduction of bills. And I believe this would be introduction of bill number 50.
Very good.
So introduced.
And that's Bill number 58, introduced by Betsy Buckingham. And that is a bill amending the fiscal year 2024 budget, utilizing ARPA funds in an amount of $1,330,000 for carryover for the nonprofit recovery program.
And that is an introduction, so we'll sit until the next legislative meeting. Moving on to new business, items for consideration of a consent agenda. Council, is there a motion to proceed with a consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion is approved. Items 3 through 9. Council, please review those items. If there are any items you would like to pull, please share them.
I would like to pull number 9, just for clarification from administration.
Thank you.
And I don't, is anyone here for number 5?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
Any other items, council?
None.
I have none.
Please review 3 through 8. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments for items 3 through 8 from council?
None.
I have none.
I have none.
Any questions or comments from the public for items 3 through 8? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Okay, hold on one second. Okay. Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Those items are approved. And item 9 has been pulled by Councilwoman Buckingham.
So introduced.
And that will be resolution number 125, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, awarding a contract for stop-loss insurance.
I would just like, I just think it would be helpful to have some,
Moved. Moved.
so moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
I just thought we'd have the opportunity to have administration just clarify.
Yes. Okay. So this is a yearly occurrence. We are self-insured for our medical, our health insurance plan, and as precaution to prevent us from having to cover the cost of high claims, we get ourselves stop-loss insurance. That essentially, when claims hit a certain threshold, then the insurance coverage takes over, and they will actually reimburse us for any of the costs of the claims that exceed the amount that's determined. So what also happens every year in terms of our policy is that our health insurance brokers will work with our current stop-loss providers for renewal. And this is one of those things similar to, say, your car insurance. If you have a lot of accidents, then your car insurance is going to go up because you're more of a threat that you're going to have more accidents going forward. Our stop-loss insurance, there's many factors that are that would affect the increase of our stop-loss insurance, and a lot of them are completely out of our control in terms of us having high claims and how many high claims we have if they're from individuals that we cover that are still on the plan, so it's going to continue. So there's always a lot of talk that's involved, and our health insurance brokers are great at doing that. So this year, they did what they normally do with our current provider, Pareto, and then they also, once they get a renewal from the current carrier, then they essentially submit a request for proposals from anybody else who wants our cover, who wants our service, and to see if anybody else can come back with essentially a better deal for us. In the last several years, there hasn't been a response. This year, there was a response. Right at the deadline for submission of agenda items, we did get a proposal from a company called Sun Life, where their proposal was actually going to save us close to $50,000 for the year compared to our current provider. So the timing was such that we wanted to be able to give Pareto an opportunity to counter if they wanted to. If they were able to come back and be like, hey, we really want to keep you, we can adjust ours to match theirs or be better. We didn't want to just be like, hey, see ya, sorry. So what was determined is that this resolution was put forth with essentially a blank in terms of who the actual company is, but both the original proposals from Pareto and the proposal from Sun Life was included for review. Ultimately, Pareto had decided, sorry, we can't come back with anything better. So our health insurance brokers are recommending, and administration is agreeing that we go with Sun Life for our 2024 stop-loss coverage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council?
No, it's,
I have none.
I just have a funny comment. I think you've come to council for the past 4 years with the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's the same story. That's all right. I have my spiel down. We're good.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. No requests for future meetings. Any council comment?
I have none. I have one. I'm sorry I have this mask on, but wanted to really appreciate you for your service. Can you hear me all right? I'm sorry. To appreciate President Sandy Walker for your service and Councilman Lou Rivera. We know this is your last meeting, but we would like to say to both of you that as a community and as co-laborers, that we really appreciate all of the work that you put in. And we would hope, even though that you won't be on council, that you will still be in the loop. Thank you.
We hope that we still raise hell.
Thank you.
We will.
Thank you. Administration comment?
I was just going to repeat the same set of sentiment. Actually, it's especially Sandy, in one way or the other, we've worked with each other since I was recruiting summer playground aides for you back in 2008. So it's been an honor to work with you throughout time as we both kind of progressed. And Lou, it was great to get to know you. And I hope, like Ms. Felicia said, that you guys are not strangers and that we'll see you guys around. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I did. You know, being a public servant is being a public servant is an extremely difficult job. I enjoyed my 4 years here. I learned quite a bit. I want to thank Diana for all her hard work throughout her years. Congratulations to a new team, which includes Elsbeth over there. Sandy, for all your great work. It was a pleasure learning from you and working with you, and congratulations on your new position. Business Administrator Kim Robertson, and you know, as I mentioned in the paper, that the three highlights of my tenure were Commissioner Muldrow's promotion, the rescinding of the residency requirement, and the selling of the wastewater treatment plant, and I have no regrets. So it's been a pleasure. I know that God has things in store for me. I'm happy right now where I'm at, and I appreciate serving the people of York.
I was not going to say anything, but hey, since we're here, mine as well. It has been a pleasure and a blessing and an honor to serve the citizens of the city of York. I don't take it lightly, especially over the past 14 years between school board and city council. The residents thought enough of me to elect me to office. So, we take an oath to serve with fidelity. And I never even thought about it until Mark, the news reporter, said something, but it's been 14 years. Started serving at 26 and now 40 years old. And the time has went by just like that. But through the ups and the downs, being able to sleep at night knowing that you made the best decisions for the citizens of the city of York, I don't take that lightly, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you all for your service, and thank you for the support. And I'm here in the city of York, so excuse me, my nose is running. But we continue to serve, and my heart is here in the city, and I'll be around, because when you have a heart to serve, it doesn't go away. So thank you all so much, and may you all have a blessed Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and a safe and happy New Year. And I was not supposed to cry, so with that being said.
I know you ain't hardly trying to adjourn without me saying something.
Oh,
I know you ain't.
sorry, Diana.
Okay, we got the president here, but we know who's running this right now today. No, just kidding. You know, I have, being in this position, being on city council is a tough thing, you know, and it's when people are on the other side, they don't realize all of the things that they have to do and how much time that they have to give so much of yourself as that you have to give. I mean, nights and days. I mean, sometimes we're on the phone until like 11 o'clock at night. We'll have, you know, a phone call, a text message. So their jobs are continuous. And I tell you, Sandy, you were a very, very strong council president. And I'm very, very proud of the work you have done. You got a lot done. You were fierce, and you made a lot of hard decisions. And you stood next to them too, even when times got rough and people tried to make you look like the bad guy. You stood on 2 feet and you handled it, girl. You sure enough did, yeah. And I'm going to miss communicating with you. We had a great relationship. I was upset and disappointed that you didn't run again. So thanks to Lou, we tried a last-ditch effort. But, you know, a lot of times that's hard to get going, is to do like a write-in, especially with such short notice. But I'm extremely proud of the work you did. I'm glad that you served as president. It was an honor to serve alongside of you during this time, and I'm going to miss you a lot. Yep. Now, as far as that guy down on the end there, I'm going to miss your unapologetic ways. That's the thing that I loved about you, is that you spoke your mind. You were never afraid. You too were fierce. And sometimes you made some comments that people might not have received well, but it always comes from your heart. You always look out for the people of the city of York, especially the black and brown people. You were always an advocate for us. And I thank you for that. I enjoyed you. I think you are a gentleman. I think you look great with your weight loss. And I hope that things continue to go well for you and your business. And I thank you both, and I will miss you dearly.
Thank you. Miss you too. All right, with that being said, this meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a good evening.
Good evening.